Alright, a very warm welcome back everyone. Today I want to talk about multiband compression, and essentially multiband compression is pretty similar to compression on a whole signal, so I'm going to probably look at them side by side. The first thing I have to do is move into my mixing console and add a multiband compressor. In this case, I'm going for this multiband compressor, which comes standard with Cubase. I think it might be Elements or even, not Elements, Artist or even Pro. So if you use Elements, you probably are not able to use this compressor, but I'm not sure about this. So what you see essentially, and I'm having to bring up the compressor as well here. So what you're seeing is essentially that you have 4 different compressors that are like routed sequentially, so they are working on different parts of your signal. In this case, we have like the low frequency band, which works to up to 150 hertz. Then you have like this medium low band, which works up to 5 kilohertz, and then you have the other 2 bands which work similarly well. And for your standard compressor, you only have one which is working on the complete signal, so which would be working on all of these frequencies, right? So let's first take a look at the parameters that you are going to have here, and compare them to the parameters that you have in a standard compressor. So of course you have a threshold which regulates when the compressor should fire. You have a ratio, of course, as you had for the standard compressor here. Then you have an attack parameter, and you have release, which is also set to auto release for the first 3 bands, and then for norm, I think it comes prepared with non-auto release for the 4th band. And you have all of these parameters here, and the parameters that are missing from the compressor is this hold button, the analysis, and the makeup and the dry mix. So for the analysis, this makes sense because we are not working over the complete signal, and transients may be different for each of these different bands. And for the makeup knob here, we don't have this in the multiband compressor because the multiband compressor automatically uses auto makeup. This is one of the things that is different from the multiband compressor in comparison to the standard compressor, but this is how it works. So then we have like the compression process that is going on, and you can see if I'm just bringing up parts of the signal here, you see that in my lows I have some compression, but maybe I want to get some compression here as well. And in this case, I would have a reduction of, in this case, 4 decibels for my, let's say, low mids. I mean, it's not low mids. It would be probably more like this. And what you saw just right now is that I can move or actuate which bands or which frequencies of my frequency band all of these compressors actually work on. So in this case, we have a compressor that works from 150 to, let's say, 2 kilohertz, and in this and the other band is then adapted accordingly to what I set with my markers here. You can also raise the loudness of one of your bands, or even all of them if you look into the output knob here. But the problem with this is that this reduction or raise of the volume is actually only done after you've compressed your stuff. So which means I have a compression of -5 decibels here, and after this I'm adding 2 on top of the makeup gain that this compressor introduces. I'm adding 3 more decibels to this particular band here, right? So and what you now are going to hear is the different settings that this multiband compressor can introduce. So I want to show you some presets here because I think this is one of the better ways to find out how this compressor works and what you can actually do with this. So I'm going to switch between some of these templates, some of these presets, and you are going to listen to what the multiband compressor actually changes. So this is the standard one. And you can actually hear that there are quite massive differences in all of these presets that you are setting for the multiband compressor here. So basically, these 4 bands work independently. Of course, you can also bypass them or solo them if you do not need them. So in this case, I only need, let's say I only need these 2 bands for my high frequencies, in this case 5K up, and I would mute the other ones, bypass the other ones, so I can only work on these 2 bands. On the other hand, you could solo them if you want to listen to what one of these bands does. You can just do so if you're soloing the band and then listen to the compression that comes out of this compressor here, right? So, but these are the basic features that you have. And I think it is a pretty good idea to just play around with some of these parameters, also with the presets, and then look at what the compressor actually does, and then find out how you can actually utilize this in your own mixes. Because this multiband compressor is usually a very powerful technique. You can also do this with other plugins. In this case, for this mastering here, I've used the multiband compressor from FabFilter, which is a little bit more functionally expansive. So you can, on the one hand, compress, but on the other hand, also expand your material. And this is what happens in this situation. So you also have the compression part here for low frequencies, but you have also some very gentle expanding in the mids, or in this case upper mids. And this is how I usually utilize my multiband compressors. I'm not using the multiband compressor from Cubase that often anymore, but I'm more using the FabFilter one. But in any case, especially for mastering, these multiband compressors are very, very powerful.